Dr. Mchangizi here with your Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about how an appreciation for the humiliation of others can potentially give you a better appreciation for why we should have free expression. Folks out there aren't appreciating why we have free expression. It seems to be not on anybody's list of something that's important. It's not a big deal if the government suppresses what's being said. It's for the safety. It's keeping us all safe. If Facebook does it, it's just a private company. Anybody can suppress anybody's speech. It's not really a big deal as long as it's speech that I don't like. Now, the way that science works, as we've talked about, the way that the march towards truth in society works is via free expression. It's via everybody freely expressing and doing so with varying levels of degree of confidence that allows people to know what people said and how confident they were, and then find out how wrong they were later, and that modifies people's reputation up and down accordingly. And it's exactly how these reputations networks rely on exactly that thing for reputation networks to form and do their job. Now, if you suppress speech, either by virtue of just reading of certain voices altogether, or even those voices are there but they're required to be keep their words constrained and restrained and not be fully able to emotionally express themselves, then you're radically reducing the ability for these reputation networks to function as they're supposed to. But anyway, a lot of these things sound very academic and they don't really capture the heart of people. Now, let me give you an analogy. Suppose that you're at a poker table and Doug is over there and you really want to take Doug's money. You don't like Doug and he's on the opposing team in some sense. You never liked him. You'd like to sort of show that your hand is bigger than his hand. Most of all, that's the thing. I've got a better hand than do you, Doug, and I would like to really to rub it in on you. Well, the last thing that I would want to do is to tell Doug, just sit there at the table and you're not allowed to bet. I can't win any of Doug's money if I tell him he's not allowed to bet. That would be like censoring Doug, because when you censor somebody, they don't have the ability to actually, they might be able to say, okay, my hand's stronger than yours, Mark. That's what Doug says. But if he doesn't have the ability to express himself and put any kind of confidence or any kind of claims about it, then there's no way that he can thereby be found wrong. So when you play poker, when Doug puts in a whole bunch of chips, that's what allows me to catch him in a lie or in a falsehood or in a mistake that allows me to win his chips later. Similarly, if I prevent him from betting more than, let's say, $1, we might have just sort of there's not unlimited raises. If there's not unlimited raises, then everybody's only, or especially I say, Doug, you are not allowed to bet more than $1. That's equivalent to forcing somebody in a newspaper or magazine to be really restrained in how you make your points and keep it very tight and nerdy rather than just be able to express yourself freely. By doing that, though, you might say, well, that's just a very scientific thing to do. No, it actually prevents Doug from fully expressing his full degree of opinion. But that, from my point of view, in terms of my sort of lesser motives, which are actually motives that actually are fundamental to how reputation networks work, I want him to be able to bet more than $1. I want to trick him into betting thousands of dollars, because that way I can take more of his money and humiliate him. In social currency, in reputation, we want our opponents to be able to speak. We want them to be able to speak abstractly, because first of all, I don't have a right to stop his speech. Societal truth, the truth is moved towards by virtue of society having these reputation networks. But another way that maybe can capture why you really want to, and sort of just your personal motivations for letting your opponent speak, in a more personal, selfish reason, is that I want to give them rope to hang themselves on, or strangle themselves, right? I want to give Trump, who I don't like, the ability to say all this stuff, because then he'll be that much more embarrassed when he's found out with all that disagreeable douchebaggery. You want the douchebag to be able to say the douchebaggery things so that you can catch them in it and then humiliate themselves later. If you prevent the douchebag from speaking, then they don't lose any reputation because they never put anything on the line. So, in arguing and in defending free expression, it's multifaceted. There's the true arguments for it, when no one has the right to stop you. There's functional arguments. That's the way science and society moves towards the truth. But there's more selfish ways of thinking about it, that you want your opponents to be able to speak, because that's how you can show that they were wrong later, and then thereby get their reputations reduced, as they should be if it turns out that they were wrong, and confidently wrong. And that was your Science Moment.